What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And welcome to my video guide for Dimensions and Tier 7 or Floor 7, whatever you want to call it. And before we start this video, I would just like to gently remind you guys to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It does help my channel to grow, and of course leaving a like on this video is going to help with the YouTube algorithm. With that in mind, let's start this video. Now, as with my Dimensions and guide, we'll start this off with some general tips and guide, and the first one is to use your abilities on wave 2 and 3. There's only three waves in this fight, and the first wave is just pretty much just trash mob. You would likely want to save about, I'd say about 40 to 50% of your abilities for the last boss, but otherwise you should use them on wave 2. The next one is to bring in a debuff protector or a debuff evasion character. These are Ignis, Selena, Aphmau, or even to a certain point Selphie as well. The next one is to bring in a tank. This will definitely help your survivability for this fight. Tanks like Zack, Kimahri, Warrior of Light, or even Bosch are very helpful for this fight. The next one is to delay or paralyze your opponents to save you some turns. You can definitely abuse this ability or mechanic to your advantage, especially now that we have Aranea as part of our roster. As for the summon, you do have an option between Ifrit, Shiva, Ramuh, or even to a certain extent, brothers as well. Now let's take a look at some general strategies wave by wave. In the first wave, just like I mentioned earlier, just use your HP attack plus and your HP attack plus and save all your abilities for the second and third wave. When you get to the second wave, make sure not to get broken. If you do remember Rose's Lost Chapter boss or her event boss, then you will know if you get broken, you will get hit by an HP attack and will likely kill your characters. Also, make sure to note to kill both bosses almost at the same time, just so you can avoid the enrage mechanic. If you are using Zack, make sure you actually time his EX ability after the bosses use their hatred power, because hatred power basically removes any debuffs, including frame debuffs. So having it handy will save your other characters, as they can actually retarget to someone else after they use their hatred power. This also applies to Warrior of Light to a certain extent. Make sure you actually can provoke the enemies after they use their hatred power buff. Now for wave 3, make sure you only try and use your HP attack plus and plus at the start of the fight until he becomes bipedal. The reason for this is he basically heals himself when he goes bipedal, so inflicting a lot of damage and using all your abilities during this phase is kind of useless. So yeah. Also, it's important to note this is where you want to actually prevent your characters from getting debuffed, because the fog debuff is the debuff that you want to prevent. Okay, now let's talk about some possible party composition. We'll start off with the one that you are seeing right now, which consists of Golbez, Zack, and Ignis with a Shiva summon. This is basically Golbez for pure damage, and of course Zack is for provoking and soaking up the damage, and Ignis is for the debuff evasion. What I noticed is I actually should have used his offensive buff at the start and probably used the defensive buffs once I got to wave 3. The next one I have for you guys here includes 8 Aranea and Y'shtola with a Shiva summon. Now it's important to note that this party composition does not have a tank and cannot provoke anything, so you do have to be a little bit careful here. 8 is basically for damage and evasion / counter attacks, Aranea for damage and delays, and Y'shtola for delays and brave battery. Now it's also important to note that you actually use Y'shtola's brave battery on wave 2 when you know that your characters might get broken. This is to prevent getting broken. This is very essential for this composition. If for whatever reason the antlions are targeting 8 or your own Y'shtola, then your own Y'shtola can actually survive one big hit, so she can get broken to a certain extent, and 8 will most likely just dodge those attacks anyway, so you are safe unless it's Aranea they are targeting. The next composition I have for you guys here is Rosa, Aranea, and Bosch with a Shiva summon. This party composition does not have a debuff preventer. So for this composition, Rosa is here for Brave Battery and heals, Aranea for damage and delays, and Bosch for tanking. Now you do have to time those provokes, guys, because Bosch's provokes, they don't last that very long than Zack's provoke or even Warrior of Light's provoke. So make sure you just time those provokes with this composition. Now the last team I have for you guys here consists of Aphmau, Sephiroth, and Zack with a Shiva summon. For this particular composition, Aphmau is here for the debuff, prevention, or evasion for the party. Sephiroth again for big damage, of course, and it doesn't hurt to actually drop the enemy's brave down to 0. Zack is here for a provoke, and of course he is an offensive tank. He will be doing some decent damage here and there. Alright guys, so we're finally towards the end of this video, and of course I'll give you guys my final thoughts on this fight. Now overall, I did find this fight very challenging. It is very dangerous, especially at Wave 2. Honestly, Wave 2 is probably the most dangerous phase in this fight. And I would highly suggest you guys to be more careful than usual, because these bosses, they can definitely one-hit your character unless they can actually survive a hit from basically from the highest max wave you can think of down to 1 HP. So Zack can do this, Y'shtola can do this as well, and from memory I'm pretty sure Yuna can do this as well. You can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know on top of my head, but I kind of remember she has some sort of buff like that. But in overall, like I said, Wave 2 is the hardest wave for this fight. Wave 3 is just so and so, because you do just have to make sure that you actually can take a hit. So if you have a tank, it is not as dangerous as it would be without one. So if I'm gonna rank this somewhere between all the dimensions, and I have to say, at least if I compare them at the time of the release, this is still a little bit easier than Dimensions and Floor 5, but obviously Floor 5 right now will be a lot easier since we have a lot more characters. But if I compare them to the time of release, I definitely have to say this is probably in the middle ground. Anyway guys, that's it for this video. Please remember to click like and subscribe once again if you haven't already at the start of this video. It does help my channel to grow. For every subscription from you guys who haven't subscribed already, and leaving a like does help with the YouTube algorithm. You can follow me on Twitter and on Facebook. Those are my social media. If you do have any questions or you just want to talk games in general, you can private message me there and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Leave down in the comments below what kind of party composition do you use in order to beat this fight. I was looking around and was actually surprised Aphmau is being used for this particular fight, and I give props to the people who actually use Aphmau. I didn't get her 35 CP, although I can probably get it and try and use her, but obviously I don't have the good artifacts that I would have had access to during her event. So that's a little bit on my part there, but she is quite a unique character, so props to you guys who actually got her and are using her on Dimensions, and she is a very good 35 CP legend. Anyway guys, this is Munchkins logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level.